Hello, Deputy Terry here with you again, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about the Winchester Model 94, 1894, which was designed by John Browning in 1894. And originally it was a black powder rifle, used a couple of cartridges, and then it kind of moved into smokeless powder. The most common iteration in these days is the 30-30, and it uses these 30 caliber cartridges. This is the standard power locked version. The Remington power locked is probably one of the most known cartridges for deer hunting, and it has a lead tip and it's locked into the copper core, and very effective. And there are about 7 million of these made over the years since then, and they're still being made today. And they're made by an outfit in Japan. In fact, I've got a little printout here. It says, made by Miruku in Japan, imported by Browning Company, Morgan, Utah, and registered trademark of Olin Corporation. So a lot of people, I don't know if you can read that right there on the barrel. And this particular Model 94 belonged to my dad, and this is about 75 years old. In fact, it is about exactly 75 years old. And it's the good old Winchester Model 94. It has the basic sights here, mechanical sights on the rear, and there's a little set screw, and you can move. It's clear. Half cock, and here is the mechanical sight here. There's a rail here. You can push it up for elevation, and there's a little set screw here, and it can be loosened for windage. And then in the front is a hooded front sight, and there's just a little metal bead in there that it gives you, and you just put the bead inside your mechanical rear sight. Very traditional sight picture, and within 100 yards it's going to hit whatever you put that bead on, or possibly just a little above it. And that's the 94. And what makes this so popular as a deer gun is that it's less than 7 pounds and about 3 feet long. And so that's not going to tire you out. And basically it's mechanically bulletproof. It holds, you can put 3 or 4 in here in the tube, or you can load it up all the way up to 8 plus 1, and it's going to give you whatever you need to do as far as how many rounds you think you need. And I've been shooting this some, and it's a lot of fun to shoot. It handles really well. It's really well balanced, and it just comes to a natural point just so easily. I've been shooting it some, and we just set that aside for a second. With these store-bought, this old school Remington core locked 165 grain. But as with the 9mm, which in the beginning suffered a lot from the bullet design. There weren't a lot of really good bullets out there. The 30-30 was the same. I mean, past 200, 250 yards, I mean, that's pretty much the maximum range that you would want to shoot this, 200 yards and less with the mechanical sight. But these days, there's a lot of options that the bullet manufacturers haven't been resting on their heels. They've come up with some new bullet designs using the different technologies, and so you're going to find a lot of new things out there that are has more ballistic coefficient, more efficient. That's hard to say, but anyway, a lot better bullets you're going to find out there, more aerodynamic, faster, and do the job better when it finally gets there. And so, to demonstrate that to you, I bought some stuff. As you can see, I've been reloading a bunch of stuff. Oh yeah, let me show you. I've been reloading some of these 6.5 by 55 Swedish Mauser. And that's what that looks like. These are 130 grain, extremely low drag, Hornady match ammunition. And I haven't had a chance to shoot it yet, but these are, I think these are going to be really accurate. But back to the 30-30. This box just came in, so if you want to do some unboxing, check this out. Well, here it is back here. I bought some stuff to reload 30-30s with something a little bit more efficient than this. So we're going to take a look. I can hear bullets and I can hear brass. And there's really no good way to open this, so let's just cut it open. Try not to make a mess. Alright, well, put this away. Paper. And that's it. Let's see what we got. First off, we have this Lee pace set or die set. It has 3 in here, and it includes a shell holder for the bottom of the brass when you start in. In this kit, you get the sizer and the deprimer. They're going to give you a bullet seating device here. Powder measure here. And the famous Lee crimper, precision crimper, which I talked about in a previous video. We have Hornady FTX. These are patented flex tip, 160 grain And I want to show you these because this is an example of what they're making these days. It's actually quite clever. Now, and you know, in a tubular magazine with the bullets nose to tail, that there have been instances where somebody's dropped a rifle and this bullet goes into the primer of the bullet in front of it and creates an ignition, and which can obviously be nasty. So these guys have come up with a solution to that and made the bullet more aerodynamic as well. They designed a plastic tip is flexible enough to where it won't ignite the bullet in front of it, and yet it gives it a whole new aerodynamic profile to where you're going to get less bullet drop at a couple hundred yards. Let's just see if I can defeat this plastic sheet test. Okay, here we go. Here's one. And see the little tip on there? That's actually a polymer tip. And the cool thing about this design is it is flexible. So when it's behind another cartridge, if you drop the weapon or there's some kind of an accident, you know, where there's some impact, it flexes and won't set off the primer of the bullet in front of it. And you can see here just how aerodynamic that is compared to the old Remington core-locked. You get a good, yeah, you should be able to see that okay. So very clever. Good job, Hornady. And we're going to make some of these. And I also got some, this is the Nosler. And listen, these aren't cheap, but I figured this 100 cases will last me a long time of reloading. And here they are, brand new brass. Nosler and Remington. And you can see the rim on this is substantial, of both. And this is unprepped brass, and that is so true. And then we have the one more die that we need, and you need, is the case trimmer. Once you fire these a few times, the case is going to get longer. And so this guy, you just drop it in. It has a little handle that turns around, and it will trim the top of your case. But one thing I wanted to tell you about is that these Hornady, these other ones that I did, the 6.5 by 55 Sweet, I thought that when those cartridges, when the brass came out of the box, that they would pretty much be good to go. I mean, a quick visual inspection, you know, make sure there's no cracks in the neck or any other kind of deformities from shipping. And the one thing that I didn't consider was the burrs inside the neck. And if you put your fingernail inside the case and just turn it, you can feel the burrs that are in there, little machining burrs. And the result of that is when you get to your press and you're ready to, and everything is primed and your powder charge is in here, what you will find is when you put this in the press and you press the bullet home, it will shave the copper off the edge of the bullet and leave a little rim all the way around. It looks like a turtleneck sweater, you know, like a brass turtleneck sweater, which is not good because now you deform the jacket on the bullet and it's just not going to perform very well for you. So, and even though it's hokey and even though it's like really, really a basic step in this Lee kit that I bought, which a lot of it is good, some of it not so good, but anyway, there's this little tool steel, carbon tool steel trimmer, case trimmer, and it will trim the inner circumference and the outer circumference of your brass. And that's how you get rid of those little edges on the inside that you don't want deforming your brass. And so the way it works is just, and I've got a better one coming. I've got an actual, it has a screwdriver handle on it, and they don't cost much. They're like $12 or something. I believe it's Lyman makes it. So I've got that coming, and I'll be able to save my hands, because this will, after about, 15 or 20 of these, your hand is gonna cramp up. So basically you just take it and you can spin the die like this, like that. You can spin the die, or you can spin the shell. For me, I find that just spinning the shell, and you don't have to jack the barrett, just, give it a few turns. And you can feel when it smooths up, and you can look inside of there, and you can see that there's a chamfer, now it has like a slight V shape in the top of the case. So the bullet seats, it doesn't shave your brass, and just make sure it does leave some brass shavings inside the case. So just try that. And then take your fingernail and put in there, and it's smooth, very smooth, no more sharp edges. And you can also, I found out you can take a Q-tip and you can just kind of run it around in there and pull it out. And if you see the fibers on the Q-tip or cotton swab are roughed up or trying to pull it off, then you still got some burrs and it needs a little more work. So, my dad loved this gun. We went hunting down around Lockhart, Texas, and shot a bunch of deer down there. Never any too big, just like little Texas whitetails. Nothing like big like the mule deer up in northern New Mexico and Colorado and up northern way. Well, I miss my dad, Those were fun times. And here's a kind of a strange story, is that the other day I've been having trouble with I've been taking this like Monjuro thing because I'm diabetic. So I've been taking these little Monjuro things, and it started making my face break out like I was 15 years old. And so I thought, well, I'm going to have to get something for that. So I've got a couple of medicines, some retinol, and some other things to address that issue. But then when I was shaving, it would just make my face, with a razor, it would make my face kind of raw. And so I was just on the internet, and I saw some Aquavelva aftershave. And I thought, well, I remember my dad using that, and so I just ordered a bottle, and it came, and it's blue. And listen, I'm not advertising for them or anything. I'm just telling you this story. So I opened up the bottle, and I splashed some in my hand and put it on my face, and it was like a time machine. I mean, I went back 60 years, and it was really strange because I smelled just like my dad, because he used to use this all the time, and I never really thought about, you know, what it smelled like. I just knew he used it as aftershave, but it was like, bam! And I was back in time 65 years with my dad. It's like the strangest thing I've experienced in a long time. And it was psychologically just like, hit me like a ton of bricks. And so in the meantime, I kind of stopped wearing it. It's still in my bathroom. It's still sitting there on the countertop, and it's nice to look at, and once you put it on, you know, it's with you all day, and then it's on your pillow, and da-da-da-da-da. It was like Dad's there in bed with me. It was like, ah. So anyway, that's that. Now we're getting some of these trimmed up, and you can see, possibly, it's doing its job. There's little brass flakes all here on the workbench. And also, if you look inside this tool, you can see little pieces of brass all inside there on the blades. But it certainly works. And it certainly will make your hand cramp up after about 25 rounds. So we're looking forward to getting the other one. Now, the next step after I get these trimmed, and you know what I found is that the other part of the tool is you can trim the outside of the case, but they're usually in pretty good shape. But let's see how this feels. Okay, they're all pretty good. But they do get, obviously, when they're in shipment, they get rattled around in the truck. So it's not a bad idea to check them, because they're just going to fit better in your chamber of the rifle better, right? So quick check. Yeah, these are all good. Nice and smooth. Okay, we'll work up about, I don't know, probably enough for the range. What do you think? Probably 25. Will give me a good range day with these, and these are going to last me a long time. So the next step now is to put the primers in, and then I'm going to use these Federal GM 210Ms. Here they are. Federal Premium Gold Medal, and the M stands for match. We'll use those. We'll put the primers in. You know what? This brass is going everywhere. Let me just get that off of here. This is something that I think is very handy that you should consider. It's just a paintbrush to get, if you're chasing like little cylinders or balls of powder, this comes in pretty handy. All right, we'll just set that aside for now. That reminds me, I was at this Mexican restaurant one time, down in Texas, and the guy he was sweeping the table off onto like a menu, you know, all the crumbs and everything onto this menu, and then he would just like dump it on the floor. I just thought, oh, what are you doing? But so that's that. But then we got everything here is ready to go, and the next step is putting some primers in. But there is one before I let you go. Let's weigh these premium Nosler brass that are not cheap, is like the top of the line, okay? Let's weigh some and just see how close they come to being equal in weight. Let me bring this over here. This is the Frankfurt Arsenal precision scale. Let me put my glasses on, turn this on. The way this works is you can, if you don't trust when you first fire it up, calibrate, you take one of those 50-gram weights and you just set that in there. And it flashes 50. And now it wants the 100. And pass, it says pass. Then you just put these back in there. It's zeroed. So let's just take a few here. What do you think? Let's do 5. We'll just take these 5 off the end, see what they do. Well, 37 grams. We'll do grams, okay? Since these are a little more heavy. 375 grams. Hang on, redo. That's 8, I'm sorry, I thought that was a 0. That's 8 grams, 0.375. 8 grams, 0.530. Eight grams, 0.590. 8 grams, 0.350, and 8 grams, 345. So they're all within pretty close tolerance. I think I was, on the Hornadies are the same and a little better actually, but with these Noslers, they're renowned, famous for the quality of the metal, the brass, the consistency of the metal here around the neck, the circumference, and inside and outer circumference. So they have a great reputation, and I'm sure that they have it for a reason, but weighing exactly the same isn't one of them, I guess. And that's it for today. I tell you what, if you guys want to come back after we'll load some of these, but I think that's it for today. And I appreciate you tuning in and watching some of this stuff, listening to my lame stories about, my past from 60 years ago. But thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. So push those buttons down there, and we'll see you next time. Thurka Straka Monomer.